these sections, we're going to look at configuring data access and usage. We're going to look at overview of file systems, configuring and managing file access, configuring and managing shared folders. These topics are going to look at. So first sections, we're going to discuss overview of file systems. We're going to talk about three different kind of file systems: FAT, NTFS, and REFS. We'll get the printout and then we're going to discuss in details. Okay. The FAT file system supported by most operating systems for small volumes with simple folder structures, often used for removable media. These days, FAT file systems, FAT stands for File Allocations Table. We don't use much FAT systems anymore these days. You may find these file systems only in some USB drive. Windows 10 support all of them, but mostly exFAT is used for USB stick. So maximum volume size, cluster size, and number of files. No support for security and other NTFS features. So traditionally we used to use like FAT, but I think since Windows XP we are using NTFS. NTFS we have more options. NTFS file system is the default file systems for Windows 10. Supports many features not available with FAT, such as security and auditing, large volumes, quotas management, compressions, encryptions, reliability, other advanced features. All these file systems is supported by this NTFS file systems. Right, I think we have looked at the quota management, compressions, encryptions we have looked at yesterday, right? And what is REFS? REFS stands for Resilient File Systems. Resilient file systems. Provides the highest level of resiliency and scalability. Can be used only on mirrored storage spaces. Automatically detects and corrects errors. That is the main advantage. REFS we used mostly for the server side. In the Windows 10 machines, you'll not be able to format this one. Okay. REFS we used for server side. When you do two-way or three-way mirror, this kind of scenario, you can use this REFS file systems. It supports security and auditing. Does not support compressions, quotas, encryptions, volume shrinking. It doesn't support all these stuffs. That is, you can see, we can say that is the cons. So
Are there any? There's no cons for NTFS, right? NTFS.
no, NTFS using for last 15 years we are using in the systems is working very well.
Yeah.
So there's no disadvantages for that. But REFS is a new file systems, but it doesn't support few of the stuffs which NTFS supports. So NTFS is still better, but the REFS has some advantage. That means it can detects and corrects the errors.
So volume shrinking we did yesterday, right? On the storage part.
Yeah, shrinking, expanding, all these
Yeah.
things we have done. How to extend a volume, how to expand a volume, how to format a volume, how to change the file systems. By default, Windows 10, all the file system is NTFS.
Yeah.
NTFS is providing you all this stuff, like you can share a file, you can access one of the files, you can compress the file, you can encrypt the file, you can do the quota management. They're all part of NTFS file system. Now, configuring and managing file access. This section we're going to look at configuring and managing file access, tools used for managing files and folders, file and folder permissions, overview of permissions inheritance, effective permissions, effective access features, copying and moving files. These topics we're going to look at now. Tools used for managing files and folders. We can use command prompt such as cd or chdir to change the parent directory. Can delete, modify, move, and other commands to manage files and folders. I, um, uh, ICACLs to display and modify the permissions. This kind of command prompt we'll be able to use in order to manage the files. And if you use Windows PowerShell, such as set locations, remove item, and other commands. Same alias as command prompt commands, set ACL to manage files permissions. That means from the graphical user interface, we'll be able to configure these stuffs, and from the command prompt and Windows PowerShell, we'll be able to manage these files as well. Some topics, for example, if I go to my command prompt, okay, and now I'm in my C:/users and Zahid, right? If I do C:/, so if I say cd space C:/, so that means I change directory and I go to C:/ over there. After that, I can do something over there. For example, md test2. So I have created one of the directory over there. That is my directory. Okay. After that, if I want to go over there, so I do cd C:/, then test2. Then that means I'm now inside the test2 that folder. And over there, if I want to create anything, make directory text.txt text file. So I just created over there one of the simple text file. And txt.txt, after that, if you want to look at the directory, you can see dir. So in this test2 directory, we have some files, text file, text.txt file, right? If I do another one, text or doc, these days docs, it's file maybe. Oops, sorry. So that's the Microsoft Documents file I have created. Even if I create test3 and the directory. So after that, if I go to directory, I can see that these are the files I have created over there. Right? A directory. If I want to delete something, maybe test3, and then is asking, are you sure you want to delete? Yes. And after that, if I do directory again, it should be removed. Volume C number, serial number.
So it says volume in the drive C has no label for me.
Volume in drive C is Windows. Okay, let me check. Dir. So we have a doc file, test3 file, and txt file. If I want to delete, inside there, I want to delete test3. Are you sure? Why? If I say directory now, volume in drive C is Windows. Volume serial number is this one. Directory is this one. If I go to my actual directory and see what's going on, if I go to C drive, we have created test2. They're all folders. So they created the folders, not the files. This is the 3 folders we have, right? If you want to move text.txt to test3, so that's how we can move. And if I go to directory, so that has been moved. But if I go to cd c:// test2 slash test3, hit enter, I'm in that directory. If I do directory, I'll get one file, right? You can move from one directory to another directory by applying this move command. But delete functions should work. If I want to delete text.txt, oh sorry, text. Yes, and to remove, are you sure? Yes, deleted. After that, if I see directory, okay, I'll double check this command. Okay, we'll check that one. Okay, but you can remove as well. The way you created, you can move, you can delete. Those sort of basic things you need to know.
So all this can be done in the command prompt.
Majority of the stuff, yes,
And
yes.
um, they all go to local disk C drive.
Any other drive, wherever you go, you can configure over there. If you have a D drive, you can move to CD and go to D drive. D colon slash, you go to D drive. So anywhere you'll be able to move around with this command prompt. Okay. Now files and folder permissions control access on NTFS and REFS file system can be added for groups, users, and computers. Cumulative for group members. Can be assigned to files, folders, and volumes. Permissions can be allowed and denied. And we have basic and advanced permissions as well. They are all NTFS features, these security features. You can configure particular users or administrators, what kind of access they will have, we'll be able to configure that part. Another thing we have called permissions inheritance. Permissions inheritance means by default, if you provide permissions to one of the drive, then they will have access to folders and other subfolders. But if you want to disable the inheritance, you can do disable inheritance as well. By default, if you provide permissions to folder, then they will have access to that all the files as well under that folder. But if you do not want to provide access to that particular file, you can remove all convert inherited permissions into explicit permissions on these objects. You can select like that.
Uh,
This one I'll show you how to do
yeah.
that. Yeah, then it will be easy for you to understand. Implementing conditions to limit the file and folder access. There's another way you can configure. When you configure the folder permissions, then you can provide basic permissions, and after that you can add some extra conditions. For example, user departments equal to value managers. And if it is user department is managers, only they'll be able to access, and users country equals value equal to US. If user is uh, part of this group and user locations in US, then they will be able to access this file. You can put some conditions with this file access as well. Another thing, we have effective permissions. Effective permissions means for these files, but this is related with domain. User, you select a particular user. Device, it didn't select, you select a particular user. Country equal to US. If user is part of the US country, only they'll be able to access that one. So you can control that way as well. But these sections, this is for effective access, you can configure for the domain level. And other one, this one, conditions you can configure in workgroup level. Right? They are both configurations you can do, but effective access you can configure for the entire domain. For the domain user, let's say you can configure this. Now, effective access features, it has many features. Access like full control, list folders, write attributes. There are more granular controls you can configure under effective access. But effective access, remember, this is related with your domain environment. This is very useful. One moment, let me check my Windows 10 start. Okay. Now, after that copying and mobile files, NTFS volume, we can copy, we can move to other volumes. When you copy files and folders, they always inherit the permissions of the destinations folder. So that means if you move something from here to there, whatever permission level you have in the destinations folder, that permissions will apply to the all the files. When you move files and folders in the same volume, they keep the explicit permissions. Destination. So when you move files and folders to different volume, they inherit the permissions of the destination folder. Whether you copy, whether you move, they will get the all permissions from the destinations. So if we want to look at few things around that, let me check my machines. You can use your Windows 10 machines. I have my servers in here. So if I go to my file explorer, C drive, I can create some folder such as test1. And if I go to properties of this folder, I have all these options. Sharing. So if you want to share the files, you can do advanced sharing. Normal sharing you can do, but it doesn't have any options. You can provide by default administrators will have a read write. Administrators owner they have this permission will already by default. But if you want to provide permissions, then you have other options, everyone, or you create a new user. That options you have. You can create a new user.
Um, so, um, so normally like a big office, it would be full with that. Sharing.
Yes, there will be many users, many people will be there. Yes.
But here it's just
Yes. So if you create everyone and then add, so everyone will have a read permissions. If you have a user, that user will have a one kind of permission. This is a basic level you can share. That's a basic share you can do it, but advanced share you have more options. Share this folder, If you want, you can change the share name as well. But normally share name will be the same name. Permissions, everyone, they will have read permissions. Then other people, if you say administrators, oops, administrators, they'll have a full control like that. That's how we can set up. That's how we can, and this file is for share. So if anybody want to access this file, they have to go to this one. You need to say IP address 192.168.10.1 slash. Look at that. File 1 test 1, you got multiple options. If you click on test 1, that is your shared folder locations. So anybody want to access your shared folder, even from the other computer, they will do the same thing, right? Now, if I go to my second machines, this is my second PC. If I go to my this file explorer and type 192.168.10.1, look at that, both file is here. So you need to do this one from other devices, but you must have a network connectivity, then it will work. Whether you have a Windows 10 machine or servers, this is the NTFS. In the server side, we have a NTFS file system as well.
So it's in that one.
Yes, but you may not find that way. You just need to go to double slash, then 192.168.1 slash test1. You find that way. That's the IP level file sharing. Now let's go back with that same folder we have shared, C drive. If we go to properties, then we go to security. There's a sharing options we have looked at, right? But there's another option called security. Security over there, created owner, systems, administrators, users. By default, they have some access level. But if you go to advanced, we can control more features over there. For example, you have administrators has full permissions. Administrators, and if you want to change, the owner is the administrator. If you want to change, for example, you bring administrators. Oops. Check name. Click OK. In this way, you can bring one person in here, but administrators, I think, already in here. This is who is the user, you can change from here. But if you want to add permissions to someone, you can, if you have a single user, you can just simply select a principal, then you can bring that particular user. This is a server side. I check whether we have a user or not. No, I don't have any user. But simply, if being a user, after that, with that user, you can apply to files, folders, or subfolder. What you want to allow, you can configure. So what I'll do, I'll create one of the local user account. I go to computer manager. This features in the Windows Server and Windows 10 machines is the same. Okay, we go to local users, and in here we create one of the local accounts. Is Bob. Bob. We create one of the user called Bob.
So we just press new user.
Same thing, right click and create new user. This one we have created, and this user we can provide many different access level. We go to properties, sharing, security, edit, sorry, security advanced, and that's where you have permissions. And if you want to bring one of the users and you want to add a permissions, you need to click add, select a principal, bring that user. This is a local user. I bring that user, then after that, what you want to do, allow or deny, applies to this folder only, or this folder, subfolders, you can choose which what you want to do. By default is this folder, subfolder, and files. Let's say you have a full control, you provide this person full control. You can choose which what kind of permissions you want to provide. You can control from here, click OK. You can see that Bob has a full control. After that, there's another option called disable inheritance. Disable inheritance means um, remove all inherited permissions to these objects. So that means this folder, this person will have a full control, but if there's any other inherited permissions, it will not apply to users. And you can see all the other permissions has been removed because it has some other permissions, right? They all removed. So if you add the user and disable, then all other permissions will be removed from the users.
So we can disable the account.
That is, you can do from when you create the user from computer management, you can do that. This is we're looking at file sharing options. So Bob he is here. He has got all stuffs, sharing, auditing, effective access. So permissions after that, oh, this is the apply. Okay, go to advanced again. This is Bob. Yeah, you can still edit. So advanced permissions, you have more granular control. You have a lot of control, and it's you can control from here.
What's auditing?
Auditing means if you Enable auditing for a particular user. For additional information about the audit entity, modify audit entity, select the click edit. So auditing entities, if you enable this feature, after that, if user access something, then it will provide the kind of like a log information,
Ah,
and then that you'll be able to see from the event logs. All good. So this sort of stuff you'll be able to manage from here. But effective access allows you to view effective permissions for user groups and device account. If the account is member of a domain, you can also evaluate the impact of potential additional security for the account. When you evaluate the impact of adding a group, any group that the intended group is member of must be added separately. So sometimes you can enable the users. You selected the user view effective access, so you can see what access this user has. Okay, you add the users, you can see the all effective access. Okay, so with this NTFS file system, this sort of things you'll be able to do. Now, configuring and managing shared folders. Let's have a look at these sections. They are all related. Configuring and managing shared folders. Tools used for managing files and shared folders. File and folder permissions. Overview of permissions, inheritance. Effective permissions. Effective access features. Copying and moving files. These topics we can do. What are the shared folders? Shared folders are accessible over a network. You can share only volumes and folders. Share permissions control access over a network. They do not apply if user access the content locally. You must have administrative permission to create a share. There are many ways to view shared folders. File Explorer, shared folders tab in NetView, computer name and slash all, get SMB share. This is one of the way you can. So for example, if I go to my Windows servers, open the PowerShell and get SMB share, get SMB share, you can see that we have a E drive share file 1 and C drive test 1. We can see that. So if you say get SMB share, you can see all these 5 shares, right? After that, if I learn a bit more, get dash, I put get dash help SMB share. What it does, it's actually retrieve all the PowerShell command related with SMB share. You can do get dash help space new SMB share and space dash examples should have example. If I go to my Windows PowerShell, because this one got internet connections, if I want to see get dash SMB get dash help space SMB new dash SMB share dash examples. Look at this one. If you type get, you need to have the internet connections, maybe in your actual device go to the internet, right? So go to PowerShell command and type this command get dash help space new dash SMB share space new dash SMB share space examples. Got it? After that space dash examples. Mm, new dash SMB share space dash. You need to put a dash and then say examples together. Got it?
Yeah.
It's showing you that example. For example, if you say new dash SMB share then dash name what name you want for that share. For example, file 3. And to share file 3 dash path equal to, for example, c colon slash c colon slash then file 3. After that, you want to provide full access. Full access you want to provide to whom? But before we do the full access, let's say that you can do share or not. Access denied. When you want to provide a full access, you need to say make it bigger. You need to just say who is the user. So Zahid dash PC1, that is my PC name, slash Zahid. Access denied. And also that file doesn't exist, but in this way you can configure. There's a SMP file sharing is a PowerShell option so that you can configure as well. Now let's go to that. You can access a shared folder by using the UNC path. UNC means you put double slash and put the IP address. That's how you can access as well.
So, it says you must be an
Yes, you need to have a administrative access. Otherwise, user shouldn't create a folder and share in the network.
what about user?
User can read only means view. Yes,
Yeah,
view means they'll be able to view that folder. User will by default they'll have a view options.
but they can't create.
They can create, right? Correct. So shared folder normally when you have a shared this folder one, and then you have a two option permission is this permission table you'll be able to configure. User by default will have the read permissions, and caching uh, you can enable this one for cache as well.
So if you want control the user,
Yes.
okay, so sometimes you don't.
No.
And change is what, like
Change means they can write. They'll not be able to delete like that. Yeah. Full control means they can do everything, but change means they can write, but they'll not be able to delete.
okay.
They'll not be able to share this with other people like that. Okay. Now this one is a Windows libraries. So that has a view, and if you go to the show libraries, it will show you the internal information. Example, if we go here, view details, navigation span, show libraries. Libraries is uh, pretty much it is related to the user profile. All these documents, music, videos, and pictures, those things will be in here. Just like another tab, you can view that one as well.
So where did you go?
If you click on view, navigation pane, and then show libraries.
Libraries is just um, it's like pictures and documents, everything is in one.
Yeah. Now, cloud-based storage, we have Microsoft OneDrive, 5 GB free storage, Office 365 customers get at least 1 terabyte storage, automatic copy of camera roll from phones and tablets, OneDrive and Windows 10 synchronized of selected folders to devices, Windows 10 Fall, um, Windows 10 Fall Creators Update introduces files on demand. OneDrive is Microsoft cloud-based storage. You can get free Microsoft. Have you used the OneDrive?
I haven't used it.
So this is sign up. You can simply sign up and you can get like 5 terabyte, 5 gigabit storage over there. That's a free. You can download. Simply you go to any websites.
Then OneDrive only works as
Yes,
cloud.
you can go to OneDrive. These days they are all related, but simply you can sign into Microsoft OneDrive and you can use the OneDrive from there.
Is OneDrive? Yeah. So the OneDrive is just a normal typical
Cloud Drive, yes. So once you sign in, you
cloud.
can.
What is it the only one or there's
There
others?
are many. Google Drive, they have a Google Drive. Microsoft, they have OneDrive. Dropbox, you already using same thing, exactly same thing. I can share with you the OneDrive as well. I'm using Dropbox and OneDrive both. Google Drive as well. Three drives I'm using.
So those are all just cloud.
Cloud-based file sharing stuff. For example, I created folders I shared with you, and you have access to that. You may have a read access to that, right? That's exactly cloud-based sharing. So in the company, they're using a lot these days this kind of file sharing options. Okay, but could you please log into the file sharing OneDrive? Then I'll show you a few steps. It will be good for you. You just need to. Do you have any OneDrive at all, or
The
but you need to sign up. That's the only part.
I haven't.
Okay, so you can access from on-premises to the cloud. Right? If you put a file in on-premises, it will sync to cloud, and from the cloud, you can. If you make any changes in the cloud, you'll be able to access from on-premises. That's the advantage we have. That's fine. But Microsoft has another cloud-based solution that is called Azure Storage. This one is a complete storage solutions. This is not for like individual file sharing and stuff. This is more on company enterprise level. If you want to create any file shares, you want to store something over there, you want to create any table over there, um, queue storage, file storage, so those kind of things you'll be able to do in the storage. That's a complete, let's say you have a disk over there. You can save your information on that disk. It doesn't work same as like a OneDrive. OneDrive is more on user level access. This is more on enterprise level access. Yes, that's completely related with Azure. So OneDrive and OneDrive for Business, Microsoft provides two user-based cloud storage solutions. OneDrive is a consumer-oriented solutions that is free to use, allow 5 per user with additional options or more, is available for all platforms. IT administrators cannot manage the data. And OneDrive for Business is a business-oriented solution based on a SharePoint platform, allowed 1 terabyte per user, is the part of Office 365 or SharePoint Online. IT administrators manage the data, provides more advanced features. So, for example, we using the OneDrive for Business. We have the subscriptions, and each of the user get 1 terabyte storage in the cloud. These days, many companies using the OneDrive as a business solution.
In OneDrive is very new.
Five, more than 5 years. So all these solutions we have. Before OneDrive or Google and cloud-based solutions, we use normally local file shares. We don't have any online. Dropbox and they're sitting in the market for more than 3 years. Actually. A lot, yeah. Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, they are in the market for more than 10 years. Before that, all you have local file sharing. Web servers was very popular because with that web server you can access some files and stuff. But now it's very simple. All these things with the Facebook, you can do file sharing. You can upload your pictures. You can have your own website. You can many things is getting easier. How to enable OneDrive? You must have a Microsoft account signed into OneDrive. The OneDrive applications for desktop provides options for file and folder sync. You can restrict access to OneDrive by using the group policy and by creating a URL block list on the edge of firewall. So we have many different options.
So we can do all this in
We'll be able to do all these things on OneDrive. Like for example, I have many different of OneDrive and stuff. I got Dropbox. I got a lot of stuff. There's something happening here. They're all updating. Yeah. So I got
so what does it mean by syncing?
sync means if you, for example, in your Dropbox folder, if you save something in on premises, it will sync to cloud. And if you put something in the cloud, it will sync back on premises.
And like, let's say if you send me something, that's syncing or is it?
Yes, it's syncing.
Yeah.
If I share with you something, so um, those informations doesn't need to sync. If I share with you, so as soon as you want to download something, then from the cloud to your place, it will sync. But let's say if I put a new stuff, it will sync straight away. So there's some syncing going on all the time. Look at that now. It's got some issues. Yeah. See, Ashima commented on this. Did you make any comment?
Wait, what did I say? I just read. I just read.
Okay, so that means
Oh, okay.
it will create some.
So if you just read it,
Yeah. Or if you download, you check something, then it initiates something over there. I think
yeah, I downloaded the app.
that's okay. Now, other things we have a work folders. Work folders is related with related with Windows servers. Allow users to access their individual data. Users can access only their own work folders. Enable data to be stored centrally on traditional file servers. So file servers must be running Windows Server 2012 R2 or newer. Allow users to use multiple and various devices for access, regardless of whether devices are domain joined.
So, if we share a file, can
Mhm.
you see at the other person if they're open?
Yes, many cases, yes, you can see what they have done, open or not, make any change. Change you'll not be able to make because it's a read only.
But you can see if they open their.
Access or open or not, you get notifications, yes. Enable data to be stored centrally on traditional file servers. So file servers must be running Windows Server 2012 R2 or newer. Allow users to use multiple and various devices for access, regardless of whether devices are domain joined. Allow access from any locations with the connectivity. Local copy is available without network connectivity. Ensure compliance with company policy, access control, quotas, file sharing, classification, and more. The local data copy can be encrypted and wiped remotely. These are the options we have with the work folders. But work folders related with the domain. For example, you are working in a company administrator will share one folder with you, and that folder is associated with your user login name. So once you go home and logged in with your user account name, and as soon as you have the internet connections, you'll get that folder, work folder. Same folder you're accessing from company. Once you go outside the company, it will be able to access that folder. So this folder sharing is related with your company URL, email addresses mostly.
But you have to access the one.
No, this is outside the OneDrive. This is for the server side. We can configure. This is related with your servers. But this one is not very popular. OneDrive is very popular. Millions and millions of people using. And many company, our company using the OneDrive as like a default file sharing purposes. You wish to have a local file. You have a local file, online file, but OneDrive is the one of the most common one we're using these days.
Yeah, I would have.
Module 9. Yeah, we're going to discuss now. This section we're going to look at configuring threat protection. We're going to discuss about malware and threat protections, Windows Defender, connection security rules, advanced protection methods. These topics we're going to look at. Malware and threat protections. We're going to discuss what is malware, possible mitigation for malware threats, phishing scams, common network-related security threats, mitigations for network-related security threats. We're going to discuss all these topics. So what is a malware? Malware stands for malicious software. Some software which we doesn't know. So that's actually the malware software. For example, if you download something from Google, if you download something from known publishers, that's intentionally, that means you know that one. But something you don't know, but automatically get installed behind the scene, or you don't know, those kind of software is malicious software. Forms of malware including computer viruses, computer worms, Trojan horses, ransomware, spyware. There are many different software applications run on the background that can be part of any of these. Computer viruses means some certain files that can install inside your computer and make access with your files and applications. It can delete some files, it can make changes some files, and then after that you'll not be able to access your particular files, folders, volumes, or entirely your computers. Computer worms. Worms means a particular viruses they propagate by themselves inside the network. Suppose one computer got that virus, and from that computers it will propagate in the network, and then it will multiply, it will go to other devices, and in this way it is being spread. Network based to the network, yeah. If you have a network based configuration, then one viruses can spread all over your network. With the USB, it can travel as well. Yes, with the USB, it can travel. Then Trojan horses, this is another kind of viruses or malicious or malware, we can say. Trojan horses, it can be installed, and after that, it can disable many of your services as well. So sometimes it can be done from downloading or using some USB on the network. E- This way, it can be installed inside your computer. So you may download something and with that it can be inside your computer as well. Yes, you should not use. Make sure that is virus free or error free. Then you'll be able to use that one. So if you have a antivirus system, it can identify whether that specific USB has any viruses or not. It will block and you can remove as well. Ransomware is one of the very famous malicious software these days. So it came normally with the URL link, some web link and stuff. So normally you may get an email. That email saying that you have to pay something. You have some offer. You have to access that one. It may have some URL, and as soon as you click on the URL, then it's going to install inside your computers. And after that, ransomware, what it does, it block. It's actually encrypt your files and folders, and after that, you'll not be able to decrypt. If you want to decrypt, you need to get a decryption key. And if you need to get key, you need to contact with those people. Normally, ransomware um, they provide a certain key. They ask for money. That is the main thing for that ransomware. It's encrypt. Once ransomware, it encrypt your files and folders and volumes. It could be encrypt in your entire drive. After that, if you want to decrypt, you need a password, right? And if you want to get the decryption password, you need to contact with ransomware people. Normally, they give you all the indications like what needs to be done, and once you make payment, and then they'll provide you the decryption key. So this is one of the worst viruses we have, worst malicious software we have in the market. Trojan horse is another kind of viruses. It's installed inside the computers, and after that, it makes some changes. It can um, delete some files and folders, not folders, but files, system files may delete, and in this way, your particular files will be inaccessible. Same like this is another kind of virus name. Trojan horses is another kind of name. Ransomware is another kind of name. Then you have a spyware, that is another kind of name of the viruses. They're all of them kind of viruses, but they have a different name and slightly different activity. Spyware normally they get installed inside your device and they capture your password and they send you some information from your computer to different locations. Password, yes. Mostly the password they require, yes. Password, some personal information, some data, they can collect those informations. For example, you fill up one of the online form or something, and automatically it will capture those information and send in locations where they can do something with that. No, it will not capture those systems because that's the encrypted format. So this is the all malicious software types we have, but all these things happen via the user interactions. User normally logged in somewhere and download something, install something, so user involved with these systems. Now, possible mitigations for malware threats. Ensure that you apply all software and operating system updates to your device. Ensure that you install and activate anti-malware software on your device. Ensure that anti-malware definitions are correct and avoid risky behavior such as consuming pirated software or media. Avoid opening suspicious email attachments, even if they're from senders that you trust. Right? All these things can be done via the malware threats. It can come via USB stick, email attachment. Mostly it came from that, and these days if you download something, it can come that way as well. But only way we can manage by having some antivirus softwares. Phishing scams, common tricks that cyber criminals use: fake websites, fake threats or warnings, spoofing companies or people you know. That's the phishing scam. Phishing scam is they pretend like they're the right website. For example, some website you always visit, they will give you pretty similar sort of website, and you go over there and make some transactions or something. Or um, they provide you some warning and stuff like you must have to pay that particular bill, otherwise you'll get fined, something like that. Spoofing companies or people you know. So sometimes pretend your company's employees, and they communicate with you. Another, and then they try to get some information from you. For example, some username and password. They pretend that they are your, they're working with you, their colleague and stuff like that. So this kind of phishing scams happen a lot inside the company.
This is
User
they deal with the cybersecurity.
is whoever is responsible for maintaining the security, they will manage this one. But still, these things user education and training is important in order to understand these phishing scams. Cybersecurity people will not do anything if someone understand this part. If someone go to fake website, what cybersecurity people will do? So common network-based security threats such as eavesdropping, denial of service attacks, port scanning, man-in-the-middle attacks. So this kind of attacks can happen.
Who can
So this kind of attack can happen. Okay, eavesdropping we're going to look at soon. Denial of service. Does a DOS attack? DOS attack means they will constantly access your devices and they make it unavailable. For example, you have some web servers or you have some DNS servers. So hacker constantly use that one, and if many people use, the system will be disabled for the time being. That is like a DOS attacks.
how often does this happen?
There's no time frame how often it's happened. It's happened. It can happen anytime. Whoever is the malicious users, hackers is all around. So when they will attack, we don't know. It can happen. They can try. If they target something, they can try all the time, and sometimes they may get successful, and majority of the time maybe they don't get successful. Port scanning is there's with that particular software or application, they can scan the port. They can open some port sometimes, and in this way, with port scanning, they check whether a particular port is open or not. For example, remote desktop port. If remote desktop port is open, they'll be able to access from outside. Then man in the middle attack. Man in the middle attack happen when um, man in the middle attack mostly happen. It could be happen from the internal to the company. It could be outside as well. For example, you're sending some traffic from your computers to the routers. In the middle, it may have another laptops, or it may have another desktop which is part of your network that may get some information from your packet. Mostly, there are some particular applications and software you can do. One of the software could be Wireshark. There's a Nmap. Those kind of port scanning tools we have. Uh, but man in the middle attack means somehow the hacker involved in your account and change one of the device packets. In this way, they can attack your devices. Let's say you're sending one email. Email should go to destination's devices, but somehow it can direct that destination to different places. So your packet will go to different locations, to their locations most likely. Yes. So that's kind of a man in the middle attack.
And that normally happens because if that network is
Not secured
not
enough,
secure,
then yeah, possibly this kind of things can happen. Yes. So how to mitigate these stuff? You need to have a proper network security over there, such as um, EBS dropping, IPsec, VPN, direct access, encryption, detections, all these things will be there. So one of the thing is encryptions. One of the thing is if it is not encryption, if it is not encrypted, and if your network is not fully secure, then many attacks can come from outside. So in order to stop that one, you can configure IPsec protocol, VPN, direct access, intrusion detection. So all these things can mitigate these eavesdropping things. Eavesdropping means somebody try to access your network from outside. It's kind of like man in the middle attack.
can it happen from different countries?
Yeah, it can happen anywhere in the online. Yeah, locally, nationally, internationally. There's many attack happen from outside the country as well. But that's why we using the VPN connections. For example, you're working from home, your company network. If you can, there's a many options to connect directly. Those kind of scenario, intruder can come into your network. But if you have a proper VPN connections, direct access and VPN similar stuff, and if you have a IPsec tunnel, then the entire tunnel from your home company network will be in. So this kind of accessibility can be given. DOS attacks, you need to have a proper firewall. Like internet facing routers should have a proper firewall. Again, IPsec, server hardening, those kind of things can prevent DOS attack. What is perimeter network? You know,
There,
perimeter network means, for example, you have a internal network and you have external network. For example, you have this is your internal local area network, right? And then after that, you may have your routers, you may have your other devices in here, you may have your switch and all these servers and other PC, they are located in here, right? This is your internal network. And some of the servers, for example, one server you have to provide access outside. Normally they're internal, and outside you got like internet connections and other things. But one servers you have to provide access to outside world. For example, you have a firewall in here. This is your firewall. Because if someone wants to access your internal network, they will go via firewall, then they can access. But this kind of servers normally we put outside the firewall. So that means they'll be able to still you'll have other devices, other routers in here, which is internet facing, but it's kind of like this server will be accessed from outside. This one has a outside access. Okay, oops. It has a outside access. So perimeter network means a perimeter network means that particular network people will have access from outside world. Okay, for example, your company web servers, so people will be able to access that one from outside. So this is the perimeter network.
Why is that server located outside the firewall? It's because it needs to
You
access
have a
from outside.
inside firewall that is protecting your internal network, and this one you expose to outside, you provide access to outside, that's why you put this one outside the firewall. Still you have the your routers, you'll have some security. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any security. With the firewall you maintain your internal security. After that you place this one in such a way that people they can access from outside. Perimeter network means a separate network where it has the internet connections or access from outside world.
No, SRV is just server.
Yes. So we are discussing here. So port scanning, server hardening, firewalls. That means server should have a antivirus software. Default Windows firewall will be there. Additionally, you need to have server hardening means you need to have a proper some services you don't use. You should turn off that one, and should have a proper antivirus systems and from like a remote management that need to be taken care as well. So all these things need to be there. Man in the middle attack, so those kind of scenario, IPsec, DNSsec, those kind of protocol can be configured in order to make it secure. Virus, malicious code, in order to manage this attack you need to have a proper software updates. Your Windows operating system should be updated regularly, and additionally some antivirus software need to be there.
The IPsec is used a lot, right?
Yes, IPsec is one of the internet protocol security. This is one of the protocol we are using in many different contexts in our network. Now in Windows, we have a Windows Defender. Windows 10, we have a Windows Defender antivirus. So this section we're going to look at what is Windows Defender antivirus, what is a firewall, what is Windows Firewall, network location profiles, Windows Defender firewall with advanced security. So these topics we're going to look at now. Windows Defender is Microsoft Windows 10 is a default antivirus software. And this is actually very good. They updated this Windows Defender regular basis, and these days simply as part of your antivirus security you can use Windows Defender antivirus. So firewall is a external firewall, perimeter network, internal network, and host firewall. Host firewall means, for example, you have one of the PC and PC has the firewall.
Yeah.
After that, internal firewall means you may have one routers that has a access control list.
The router has its own firewall.
Yes, you can configure the firewall inside the routers.
So the switch have firewall? Switch don't.
No, switch doesn't have any firewall. So router has the firewall. And after that external firewall, you can see the multiple firewall, and this perimeter network we talked about just right now, that will be inside in here. That means after the internal network, you may have perimeter network. Perimeter network means people will be able to access that network from outside. That's a perimeter network. But still, there'll be a firewall over there. Windows Defender Firewall, that's where we worked. By default, it should be enabled. Whether we have a private network, domain network, or public network, always it should be on. And we have a network location profiles means Windows 10 uses network locations awareness to identify connected networks uniquely. Networks can be classified as a domain. So if you have a domain network, public network means it's not part of the domain. You logged in somewhere outside, then automatically it will be picked up as a public network.
Yeah.
And private network, maybe you have a workgroup environment, that is a private network. So Windows servers or Windows firewall can understand all these network types. But by default, all the firewall should be on.
Isn't domain and private similar in the way like work?
Domain means a domain. When you have a entire domain network, we have a Windows servers network there. But if you do not have any Windows servers, so that could be private network. For example, a workgroup computers. This is not public internet. This is a private network. But if you take your laptop somewhere, airport or somewhere or hotel, then you can connect with their network. That is a public network. Private is more on workgroup computers. Then Windows Defender Firewall with advanced security. It has inbound rules, outbound rules, connection security rules, and monitoring tabs. So this sections is talking about you can individually for individual device you can allow and deny some traffic. You can allow and deny some port protocols and some services. But this is really good. You can configure, but you can configure individually. So after discussions, we're going to look at all these things, how we can configure and stuffs. Now connection security rules, this is we have in Windows 10 machines. Under this one, we're going to discuss what is IPsec, what are connection security rules, authentication options, monitoring connections. So what is IPsec? IPsec is a suite of protocols that allows secure encrypted communications between two computers over a unsecured network, and has two goals: packet encryptions and mutual authentications between systems. So that means this PC and that PC, if you make a network, and it can be encrypted network. In this way, if someone, if you share a file, other people don't not get into, and somehow if they try to get the file, they'll not get that one. Because IPsec encrypt the packets, and also they use the mutual authentications in between multiple systems. Enables sending and receiving computers to send secure data to each other. Secures network traffic by using encryptions and data signing. So uses policies to define the type of traffic that IPsec examines, how the traffic is secured and encrypted, and how IPsec pairs are authenticated. Encryptions, authentications, these things is looked after by this IPsec. What are the connection security rules? Connection security rules involve authenticating two computers before they begin communications. secure information that is sent between two computers. Using key exchange, authentications, data integrity, and data encryptions optionally. So how firewall rules connections rules are related? Firewall rules allow traffic through, but not to secure that traffic. And connection security rules can secure the traffic, but depend on a firewall rule to allow traffic through the firewall.
What does that mean by key exchange? Sorry.
Key means a kind of a password,
Yeah.
and that password, many different form of password can have, and there are many different certification key is like a 1024 2048, those kind of certificate based can be key can be generated, and they exchange those kind of key in between. If you use a simple password is one kind of encryptions, but if you're using a long password that may contain certain key or certain bits over there, and in this way you can um, encrypt in better way.
Mm.
Authentication options. When using the new connection security rule wizard to create a new rule, you use the requirements page to choose one of the following options. Request authentications for inbound and outbound connections. Descriptions ask that all inbound outbound port be authenticated, but allow the connections if authentication fails. Authentication means this kind of things you can configure. Require authentications for inbound connections, like somebody want to connect inside, it will ask the password. And request connections for outbound connections. Require authentications for inbound and outbound connections. Require that all inbound and outbound traffic can be authenticated or the traffic will be blocked. How to configure this one? When using the new connection security rule wizard to create a new rule, you can use the requirements page to choose all these authentication options. This is the connection request security rules. Under that, we have the security associations. Advanced protection methods. This section is going to look at advanced protection methods, security compliance toolkit, overview of BitLocker and TPMs, encrypting file systems, using AppLocker to control applications, using AppLocker to control universal Windows apps, understand Windows Defender, advanced threat protections. So these topics we're going to look at now. Security Compliance Toolkit. The key features of Security Compliance Toolkit include security baseline management features to manage the security and compliance process efficiently. Baselines that are based on Microsoft Security Guide, recommendations, and industry best practices. Compare GPOs with current settings using the policy analyzer tools. Now, another thing we have called BitLocker. BitLocker is very useful and important. With the BitLocker, you can encrypt the data that is stored on the operating systems and other volumes by providing offline data protections, protecting all data stored on the encrypted volumes, verifying the integrity of early startup components and boot configurations file, ensure integrity of the startup process. So BitLocker to go Windows encryptions of removable media such as USB thumb drives. BitLocker is very important. With that we can encrypt the data. You can encrypt your entire drive, or you can encrypt the individual files. You can even if you have the USB stick, you can encrypt that entire documents as well.
So BitLocker is a program you buy or
BitLocker is by default will be there. This is the features. We can enable that features and we'll be able to use that one.
it comes with Windows?
Comes with Windows 10 and also many different external hard disk, USB drive. You can use this BitLocker.
So you can go to control panel and then it's just say BitLocker.
Yes,
Manager.
we can manage from the area. So you're going to look at all these things. Once you complete the discussions, then you're going to look at all these things. BitLocker has another thing called TPMs. TPMs stand for Trusted Platform Module. It logs the normal startup until a user optionally supplies a personal PIN number and insert a USB drive that contains a BitLocker startup key. Performs system integrity verifications on startup components. This is the TPM mode. TPM is a much more secured. TPM is a small chip that need to be part of the motherboard. Normally motherboard contains this TPM. Non-TPM mode, we have uses group policy to allow BitLocker to work without a TPM. Logs the startup process similar to TPM mode, but the BitLocker startup key must be stored on a USB drive. Alternatively, use a password. BitLocker you can configure with the TPM and without the TPM, but configuring with TPM is best practice.
So TPM can be turned on in
BIOS, yes. That's need to be part of the motherboard features. TPM is a chip, and you need to enable this one from the BIOS as well. That is it. With the BitLocker encryptions, you encrypt the entire drive. But encrypting file systems, encryptions of files based on users, part of NTFS, more complex to implement. Scenarios: protecting files on shared computers, protecting files from privileged users, sharing encrypted files with specific users. Encryption file system we have looked at before. That is when you go to the advanced features. Remember, there's a two options. One is compressions, one is encryptions.
Yeah.
So that encrypting file system is related with the NTFS file systems. But they are related more on the user account, individual user account. So EFS or encrypted file system, this is related with file encryptions. But for the drive encryptions, we using the BitLocker drive. There's another options from the group policy we can configure, that is called App Locker. App Locker look to control the applications. App Locker is a security feature that enables you to specify exactly what applications are allowed to run on user PCs and devices. Benefits of App Locker: controls how users can access and run applications, ensures that users' PCs and devices are running only approved licensed software.
Now, where do you find AppLocker?
This is part of the group policy. Local group policy it may have, but mostly this is from the server side. We can use these applications. For example, one of the particular applications You don't want user to remove that one. You can control with that. So benefits of the app locker, it controls how user can access and run the applications. Ensure that user PCs and devices are running only approved license software. So that way you'll be able to manage. Okay.
You can you enable a blocker in the settings?
Yeah, we can, but mostly group policy. The group policy can manage this one. Yeah, see the configurable in group policy. Only from the group policy you'll be able to manage. Secure data in enterprise, you have Windows device health attestations, Windows information protections, and VPN profiles. There are some advanced steps you have. Windows Defender applications control, Windows Defender device guard, Windows Defender credentials guard, exploit guard. All these things can be configured from the group policy, right? So group policy is one of the core components in order to manage this one. You're going to learn more on group policy in the Windows servers, because local machines you don't have much options to do these configurations. But when you have a server environment, you have a more control. Now let's have a look some configurations around that. If you go to Windows Defender, first thing actually you go to click here and go to settings. In the settings, we have a update and security these sections. Click on that one. In here, we have Windows security. Open Windows security, click on that one. See in here, we have a virus and protections. This is enabled. Account protections enabled. Firewall network protections enabled. App and browser control, device security, all these things should be enabled by default, right? You're looking at Windows 10 machines, your on-premises local one. Yeah. So virus predictions and this one is automatically enabled. If you click then web root security anywhere is turned on. So mine one is web root. Current threats, no threats and stops.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a ransomware protection set up OneDrive.
Ransom, no action required. Manage ransomware protections. Protect your files against the threats like ransomware and see how to restore your files. Control folder access is actually protect files is control folder access. Protect files and folders and device from unauthorized access by unfriendly applications. So it need to have a real-time protections need to be enabled. Microsoft account that's already connected, but this is the sections mostly we work firewall and network protections, right? We have a domain network. By default it should be on. Private network it should be on. Public network it should be on. If you want to turn it off, you can turn from here. They change this window, they make it this window, but we have this one from long back. We have these stuffs.
Your one says public network active. My one says private network active.
I got many stuff, that's why maybe.
or you can't.
Windows Defender firewall is on. So this is the Windows security section. So you can see that applications and browser control is there. Device security, device performance and health, family options. So mostly you don't have to make many changes in here. They are the default configurations is already secured configurations. But if you go to the Windows Defender, Windows Defender firewall, if you click on that one, you're only showing a private network. That network, right? Blind one because I'm connected. No, I'm connected via the wired at the moment. So if you click on this one, you can turn it off from here and turn it back on. This is the old Windows Defender window we can see. Windows Defender is Microsoft default antivirus software. So that means you don't need to have any other outside software. This is pretty much good enough. So that means all other like outside people buy Norton this and that. It's not.
It's not that you don't need it, right?
You don't need these days because of if you do not have any antivirus software inside your Windows, then definitely need to buy. But if Microsoft has their Windows operating system, they have this Defender, so pretty much you already have this stuff. This is good enough. Now after that, let's go here is the same options. You can go here from advanced settings. In advanced settings, you have some particular files. And in here, all the domain profile you have on, but you have some inbound rules. Inbound rules means something you want to um, allow, some applications you want to allow to access your network. Inbound means something coming inside. Outbound means something going out from your computers, right? So if you want to connect, for example, if you looked at my first application, this is the AnyDesk. This is one of the applications, exe file you can say, and its private network is enabled, action is allowed, right? I can go to properties and make some changes over there, but let's have a look how to create a new rule. For example, we are creating one of the new rule. Right click on this one, new rule.
Right click on inbound.
Yes, right click on inbound rules. Yeah. After that, you have many options. What type of rule would you like to create to allow some programs, some port number, or some specific device, or custom? You got many options over there. For example, you want to allow some port rule that control connections for a TCP or UDP. Click next. And does this rule apply to TCP or UDP? You can select which port you want to allow. Maybe TCP. So all local ports or specific local port. For example, you want to allow 443, one of the port that is a SSH connections. SSL connections can be made inside your um, inside your services. You can allow this kind of port to communicate. That means it's a secured port. Click next. Allow these connections or block these connections. You can configure. Let's say you want to allow. Click next. Then when does this apply? Apply for all network. Click next, and then you can name it SSL allow. That is your name of the rules. This is the name, okay? And then finish. So that's how you created this one.
So now what happens?
That means you allowing this sort of like connections. Same like this is we have do one of the, and if you looked at my next one is the AnyDex is another software applications. So that has a that's a private profile is private, enable action is allowed. So if I want to deny, I can simply go over there, and after that I'll be able to deny from here as well.
So just for properties,
Yes.
general.
Yeah, you can disable simply just untick this one and save it. And connections you allow, you can block the connections as well, right? You have both options. At the moment, I think is allow.
So when would you use this? No.
This is, for example, you want to access that these applications, right?
Yeah.
But these applications, if you want to access, it's kind of like it's a remote access tools. This any disk. So that means somebody will connect with my computers remotely, and my computer will connect to their computers remotely. So we need to provide permissions.
Yeah. Or else firewall will block it.
Otherwise, Fire will say no, we can't connect. So because we enable this one, that's why it can connect.
Yeah.
I'm going to remove this one anyway because I don't need this one. So if I go to control panel, get very slow. Okay, that's what you can do. And then outbound rules means something going out, you can create pretty similar rules as well. And connection security rules, in here you can configure some of the stuffs, such as some peered connections and stuffs you can configure. Peered connections, remote computers, advanced, general, all this sort of configurations you can do. But you need to know the other computers. So right click on this one, new rules, and you have many options like isolations, restrict connections based on the authentication criteria such as domain memberships and health status, authentication exemptions, do not authenticate connections from the specified computers. Do not authenticate connections from the specified computers. You can set up like that. Server to servers, authentications, connections between the specific computers. For example, this PC and that PC, if you communicate, entire communications will be authenticated. You can
Server to server.
server to servers or PC to PC.
If like let's say a customer calling from Liverpool, what's the best word? Is it authentication? Or
Calling from Liverpool, what do you mean?
like if they have a problem and then you want to connect with their computer?
That's different thing. That's not for this. This is not a remote access tool.
Remote
It's saying that, for example, you have a servers in your network, and you want to secure way you want to connect with your servers. For example, there is a servers you are located in here, and this communications we can authenticate and authenticate connections between two computers. Custom rules. So a few different things we can configure. If server to servers, click next. It says what is which computers are in the endpoint 1. So first computer IP you need to add, second computer's ID IP you need to add. So what's your computer's IP? We just make it up, okay? For example, this IP address I put 192.168 1.5. This is one side. This is one of the computers, and what is the endpoint to? It says any, but we say 1.6. So you got a 1.5 and 1.6. With these computers, you can make this authentications. You can do any IP address as well inside your network, but you can do it in this way. It says request authentications for inbound and outbound connections. Require authentications for inbound connections and request authentications for outbound connections. Require authentications for inbound connections. Both you can configure. And this is the algorithm computer certificate. You can set up some certificate stuffs in here. C is a certificate authority. This is also part of the servers. You're going to learn how to create and generate the certificate as well in the server course. You must specify some server information, CA name. This is the default. Select the server from the certificate authority. Peer connection to, and finish. Oops. Yes, so this one you configure. This is the computer to computers.
So we just created a connection
In between two devices, they are the these two IP actually. Yeah. Let's say this is one PC, and this communications will be automatically authenticated by themselves. You don't have to do anything once you set up this one. Hmm? Yes.
and this is the only one we can do it.
From here, this is one of the options. This is one of the options we have. There are many other options it has, but this is one of them options we have. Another one is tunnel.
But you have to know the IP address of the other computer.
Yes. How to check the IP address?
Uh, you go to control.
Yes, and then you can get it, right?
Yeah.
ipconfig/all, isn't it? That's the command.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at yeah, wrote down. Oh yeah. Command prompt.
Okay, so that's how you can configure. So another, this is the monitoring tab. You have kind of, you can see what's going on, what particular things you configure. You'll be able to see what you are allowing and what you are denying. You'll be able to see from here. See the Zoom video meeting. allow. So every applications v38, there are many unified DB, they're all servers. There's many different applications running. So all these things need to allow from here. SSL allow. I've configured this stuff, so I don't know how many SSL configuration I've done. I need to delete this one. Goodness, how many things they have done. Um, Now you can't find anymore. Okay, so this sort of things you can configure, and connection security rules, you can see what you have configured. You can see all sort of connections. And security associations is another mode. If you configure any of the services, you can see from here as well. Yeah, it has a main mode and quick mode. This is mostly related with the tunnel configurations. I think if you do new rule connected with tunnel, that time I think we have these options. Custom configurations, inbound and outbound connections. Then same thing, you need to put the IP address informations.
Is it, tunnel is different than
Yes.
is it, yeah, a tunnel is authenticated connection between two computers. Does it computer have to have like an internet network?
Network connectivity, whether it could be internet, it could be just like a local network. Both cases it will work. Yes. So if you configure some other security associations over there, those things will display in here as well. So this sections is all about firewall related things. Other things we're going to look at, which is BitLocker. So let's go to your file. Yesterday we configured one of the drive, right? We go to disk management, and we're going to configure one of the small drive. Okay, right click on your C drive, shrink volume. Urine is okay.
Yeah, it came up.
Because my got a lot of things. I just put 100. This is a
No,
small.
I'm using the main
That's fine, but you can create one of the shrink volume and make 100.
100.
I'll just create one of the very small drive volume I'm going to create.
When you shrink, it says it comes up 100 megabyte.
Yes, and now we're going to create the volume. I'm just creating one of the volume so we can enable the BitLocker on that volume. Okay, I name it data, and that's the volume I have created. Now if I go to this one, you right click
Yeah.
and click next,
Yeah.
next, next, And I just changed the name. There's a new volume is
No,
written.
it says volume label.
Yes,
Okay.
over there you can change the name to data or something. And next and finish. So you'll have another volume, right? So BitLocker, you can enable any of the volume, but I'm going to apply only this one. Right click on data and see the turn on BitLocker and use the password to unlock the drive. So you can put a password in here. Password I just put 123 123. I think it will not work. Just put like capital R at UTE 999. Even I think it will not work. Okay, I'll try again. R at UTE 999. Click next. Nice providing. Okay. After that, you need to. This is very important. You need to save this file because that's your key. In case if you lost your key, this is the only way you can get it. So save to a file. Put the password capital R at UTE 999. Okay, so I'm going to save in under my download folder. I'm going to save this one. Yes, and click next and say encrypt use disk only. So just click next and start encrypting.
Did you download on the downloads?
Yeah, I saved this one in the download folder.
Next is the encrypt use this.
Yes, click next and start encryptions. Then you can see there's a lock over there. So this lock is open at the moment, but if you restart your computers and try to access, then it will ask you the password.
So this lock just means it's encrypted now.
Yes, let's restart your computer. So always should have a BitLocker encryptions enabled. In this way, if any disk is stolen or somebody get your install, if they want to open, they need a password, and you only know the password. This is mandatory for the enterprise, like the people who are security concerned. Always this should be on.
And the reason you create a different driver.
No, because I don't want to apply in my entire drive now because it takes long time. Sometimes it takes huge time, maybe 5 hours, 10 hours. I got a lot of files. Files means every file it will encrypt. That's the reason.
Yeah.
That's why I just create a small file just to testing purposes.
So the more files you encrypt, the more time it takes.
Yes. Is it started?
Yeah, it's restarted.
Restarting. Okay. So that means it's applying those stuffs. So pretty much, yeah, after that you'll be able to see. So this pretty much things you can do with the BitLocker encryptions. And EFS is related with your file systems. Right? It should be locked. Once you log in, you'll be able to see that is a lock. Yes.
So that's what BitLocker is.
Correct. Yeah. And if you right click on it, you need to put a password, right? Yeah. Once you open, then right click on that D drive and click manage. Later on, if you want to make any changes, yeah, manage BitLocker, and you have many options over there, right? Password, change, backup, and all these things you'll be able to do. Smart card is like, for example, another multi-factor authentications. Some additional stuffs you'll be able to add with your, for example, not only BitLocker, but also you need to, when you put USB stick, then it will open. There's some advanced settings can be done as well.